And what did you find out?
Yeah, so we asked Kevin in the production meeting on Saturday about the rookie quarterbacks, knowing that that's the storyline and knowing that there had been a report that, he wasn't even doing scout team. And he said that they have a very, very detailed minute-by-minute plan for both of those guys and really all of their rookies, which, by the way, it appears as if they have like an outstanding rookie draft class.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Let me tell you right now, this is not your typical Cleveland Browns story. For years we've laughed, we've mocked, we've rolled our eyes at the chaos in that building. The quarterback carousel, the wasted draft picks, the same old Browns mantra. But what Ross Tucker just revealed, it flips the entire narrative upside down. A $32 million investment, a minute-by-minute plan, a secret Shedeur period built into practice. That's not the Browns we've known. That's not dysfunction. That's calculated. That's strategic. And that's why this matters. Because here's the truth. The Browns haven't just drafted another quarterback. They've declared war on their own reputation. When you commit this level of detail to one player, you're making a statement to the entire league. We believe this guy is the future. Not a backup, not a project, not a camp body. The future. And it matters even more because it's Shedeur Sanders. This kid wasn't supposed to have the NFL rolling out the red carpet. He wasn't the first-round darling. He wasn't the polished, overhyped name like Arch Manning or Drew Aller. He was the outsider, the son of a polarizing figure, the guy the scouts couldn't put in their neat little box. He slipped in the draft, got slapped with the developmental label, and most teams moved on. But Cleveland didn't just draft him. They built a $32 million plan around him. Let that sink in. We've seen plenty of teams say they believe in a young quarterback. But when have you ever heard about a franchise literally scripting his growth on a minute-by-minute basis? This isn't some loose roadmap. This isn't we'll see how he develops. No. This is structured, organized, borderline obsessive. Extra reps after practice. A dedicated block of time carved out just for him. That's not about preparing for garbage time snaps. That's about preparing him to lead. And look, I get it. People will roll their eyes. It's the Browns, they'll screw it up eventually. But I'm telling you, this feels different. This feels like the moment where a team that's been a punchline finally decided they're done being the joke. Because think about what this really says. Cleveland isn't waiting on the 2026 draft hype machine. They're not gambling their future on Arch Manning figuring it out. They're not banking on another can't-miss prospect. They're saying we've already got our guy, and we're going to prove it. That's why this bombshell matters. It's not about the number of reps or the flashy headline. It's about intent. It's about respect. For once, the Browns aren't just reacting to the NFL. They're ahead of it. And that should terrify every team that passed on Shedeur Sanders. Because if Cleveland's right, if this plan works, we're not just talking about a quarterback getting developed. We're talking about the moment the Browns stopped being the league's embarrassment and started being its problem. And trust me, we're only scratching the surface. The deeper you look at Shedeur's standing in this team, the more shocking it gets. Right now, the most fascinating question in Cleveland isn't about Deshaun Watson's shoulder or whether the defense can stay elite. It's about Shedeur Sanders. Where does he actually stand in this quarterback room? Is he just a late-round flyer, a developmental piece stashed for the future? Or is he quietly being groomed as the Browns' next franchise cornerstone? From the outside looking in, the media still treats Shedeur like an afterthought. Fifth-round pick. Too much noise around his last name. A kid who might need years before he's ready to even sniff the field. And let's be honest, that's exactly how most late-round quarterbacks get treated. Their bodies for camp. Their clipboards and headsets. Their insurance policies. But inside that building, the message couldn't be more different. You don't carve out a special Shedeur period at practice for a clipboard holder. You don't build a minute-by-minute development plan for a player you think is just a backup. And you definitely don't invest $32 million in future guarantees just to let a kid rot on the bench. The Browns are breaking the NFL's unwritten rules about hierarchy. On paper, Dillon Gabriel is the number 2. He's the guy penciled in if Watson goes down tomorrow. He gets the official reps. The scout team looks, the traditional ladder climb. But Cleveland's actions tell the real story. Gabriel may be the backup on the depth chart. Shedeur is the investment. Gabriel's development looks like a safety net. Shedeur's development looks like a blueprint for the future. And that right there is the difference between Cleveland and the franchises that keep failing at this game. Look at the Jets with Zach Wilson. They threw him into the fire. No structure, no protection, no plan. Look at the Bears with Justin Fields. They talked about development, but they surrounded him with chaos and hoped he'd figure it out. Those organizations burned their quarterbacks out because they didn't respect the process. Cleveland is flipping the script. They're rejecting the idea that only first-rounders get special treatment. They're rejecting the lazy narrative that draft position defines potential. Instead, they're saying, this guy has the tools, this guy has the mindset, and we're going to build him up the right way. And let's not forget, Shedeur has already proven he can carry a program. At Jackson State, at Colorado, he didn't just survive, he elevated entire rosters, he turned programs into headlines. That's leadership. That's the it factor you can't measure with combine drills or draft boards. Cleveland clearly sees it, even if the outside world doesn't. So when you ask me where Shedeur Sanders stands right now, I'll tell you, he stands in the most dangerous spot for every other team in the league, under the radar, undervalued, but fully backed by the one organization that actually matters, the one signing his checks. And if you think that's hype, just wait. Because the challenges he faces next, the bias, the critics, the constant skepticism, those are about to shape the biggest test of his career. Let's be real, Shedeur Sanders didn't just walk into the NFL carrying a playbook, he walked in carrying baggage. Critics lined up before he ever put on a Browns jersey. They said he was drafted too low for a reason. They whispered about his last name, about his father, about the spotlight being too big and the polish being too raw. And the narrative stuck, not because of what Shedeur couldn't do, but because of what people thought they already knew. That's the frustrating part. We've seen this script play out 100 times. A quarterback with the right family name, the right pipeline, the right NFL polish gets hyped up to no end. The Mannings, the Allers, the supposed can't-miss kids who look the part before they've proven anything. Meanwhile, someone like Shedeur, who's actually produced, who's actually carried programs on his back, gets shoved into the corner. The 5th round, the developmental tag, the maybe one-day treatment. And here's where it gets wild. Emory Hunt comes out and says point blank Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are better than every quarterback in that overhyped 2026 draft class. Bold, no filter, pure evaluation. And what does Ross Tucker say? He admits the NFL disagrees. He says the league doesn't see it that way. But hold up, since when has the NFL always been right? Since when has the league's groupthink been the gold standard? Think about it. Dak Prescott, 4th round, supposed to be a backup in Dallas. Russell Wilson, too short, 3rd round, can't survive in the league. Tom Brady, 6th round, skinny kid out of Michigan, one of the lowest athletic grades you'll ever see. How did those evaluations age? Every single one of them flipped the script on the establishment. Every single one exposed how biased politics and blind spots keep real talent buried until it can't be denied anymore. And that's exactly the battlefield Shedeur is walking onto right now. It's not just about making throws. It's not just about learning the system. It's about proving he belongs in a league that never wanted to believe in him in the first place. That's the chip on his shoulder. That's the fuel the critics handed him. And honestly, I love it. Because you can feel it in his body language. Every extra rep, every quiet grind session after practice, it's him screaming back, I hear you, and I'll prove you wrong. This isn't just Shedeur versus defenses. This is Shedeur versus the establishment. The scouts who overlooked him, the analysts who dismissed him, the hype machine that crowned others before they earned it. That's the real fight ahead. And if history tells us anything, those are the quarterbacks you don't bet against. But here's the twist. While the critics keep talking, the Browns are building. And what they're quietly constructing around Shedeur is setting up something far bigger than just development reps. Picture this. Practice is over. The cameras are packed up. Most of the roster has already hit the showers. But out on that quiet field, with the sun dropping behind the stadium lights, there's still one quarterback taking snaps. Still one voice calling cadence. Still one ball zipping through the air. That's Shedeur Sanders. That's the Shedeur period. 8 to 10 extra reps. Doesn't sound like much, right? But that's the hidden grind that separates backups from starters, and stars from legends. Those extra throws build timing with receivers. They sharpen footwork under pressure. They etch the playbook into muscle memory. And in Cleveland, those moments are becoming the foundation of something much bigger. Because here's the truth. This isn't just a kid staying late. This is an organization carving out a window of time every single practice to deliberately shape him into their weapon. That's not busy work. That's not let's keep him engaged. That's an investment. That's the Browns saying this guy matters. And trust me, that means something. Now look around that locker room. This rookie class, Isaiah Bond giving them a vertical threat, Mason Graham turning into a disruptor on defense, Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong fueling the backfield. It's a group built for the future, not just the present. And tucked right at the center of it all is Shedeur. The Browns aren't just throwing pieces together. They're building a young core that can grow together, fight together, win together. And doesn't that feel different? Doesn't that feel like the opposite of every Cleveland headline we've gotten used to? No chaos, no panic moves, no desperate QB experiments. This isn't Johnny Manziel with a jersey full of hype and no plan. This isn't Deshaun Kaiser being thrown into the fire with no shot to survive. This is calculated. This is structured. This is Cleveland finally acting like they're tired of recycling the same mistakes. When you see Shedeur out there grinding past the whistle, you can feel it. This isn't a one-year project. This isn't a PR stunt. This is the Browns quietly grooming their future while the rest of the league shrugs and sleeps on it. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because every rep he takes, every throw he makes in that extra window, is one step closer to being ready for the moment nobody sees coming. And when that moment arrives, it won't just be Shedeur breaking through. It'll be the Browns proving to the football world that they've built a foundation that can finally stand. And that's where this story turns from preparation into prophecy. Because what Cleveland is setting up here isn't just a development plan. It's a warning shot to the league. Here's my prediction, and I don't say this lightly. By the time the 2026 quarterback class is shaking hands on draft night, Shedeur Sanders will already be miles ahead of them.
Not just in experience, not just in poise, but in results. While the media hypes up Arch Manning, Drew Aller, and Garrett Nussmeier as the next big thing, Shedeur will be out there proving he's the real thing, and that's the beauty of what Cleveland is doing right now. Ross Tucker's revelation wasn't just juicy insider info, it was a warning shot, a signal to the rest of the NFL that the Browns aren't sitting around waiting for another can't-miss prospect. They've already made their move, they've already chosen their guy, and by the time those other quarterbacks are taking their first rookie minicamp reps, Shedeur will have 2 years of NFL coaching, NFL speed, and NFL chemistry under his belt. Think about that gap. Think about how massive it really is. College kids are still learning how to read disguised coverages. Shedeur will already be firing strikes against real NFL defenses. They'll still be trying to adjust to the spotlight. Shedeur, he's been living under it his entire career. From Jackson State to Colorado to Cleveland, the pressure has never broken him. It's only forged him. And I'll tell you what makes this even more poetic. For decades, the Browns have been the team searching for answers, cycling through quarterbacks like they're disposable, begging for stability, praying for a savior, hoping the next draft pick finally fixes the curse. And now, for the first time in what feels like forever, Cleveland isn't chasing anymore. They've planted their flag. They've said, this is our guy. We're building around him. Fans, do you understand how massive that shift is? This isn't about a lucky draft pick. This is about an organization finally building with vision. This is about a franchise that used to be the punchline setting themselves up to be the headline. The Browns aren't hoping to stumble into success. They're constructing it, brick by brick, rep by rep, with Shedeur right at the center. And that's why my prediction is simple. Shedeur Sanders is going to outshine every single quarterback in that 2026 class. He's going to make Cleveland look like geniuses. And when that moment hits, when the rest of the league finally realizes what the Browns have been cooking in plain sight, it's going to flip the entire narrative. Because this isn't about whether Shedeur gets his chance. It's about when. And when that moment comes, when he takes the field, when he owns the huddle, when he silences the critics, it won't just change his career. It'll change the Browns' history forever.